Games. Hello. Just waiting to see if I get a transcoder on Twitch. And I did. Good. Having good luck during this time slot. Going to pause my own stream because I don't need to watch myself. Oh, I'm dropping some frames. That's wonderful. Okay, but it's stable now. Good to drop them at the beginning, right? I forgot to post on Discord, so let me do that. The plan for today is what am I showing here? I would like to clean up the admin login process. Handle errors properly. And what? How about we just keep it at that? I'd like to clean up the admin process and handle errors properly in my front end. All right. Cool. Okay, let me begin. Let's get back up to where we were yesterday. So I have the front end running in one terminal. Let's open another terminal and run the back end. Hey there, Alex Hart, hi. I keep thinking Ian Axel, but that's backwards, right? Ian Alex. Okay, localhost. Hey, there is Matt. Okay, backend is running. Let's confirm that this all works like it did yesterday. That's the existing game. I don't need to see that anymore. All right, choose file. Actually, did this reload? Yeah, okay. Choose file, proper key. Connects to the server, authenticated. Wonderful. Hey there, A squared. Hey, A squared. I don't know if you were here yesterday, but check it out. Look at that. Look at that nifty plugin that I'm using now. Eh? So yeah, that was thanks to A squared. This nifty plugin to VS Code. I can't remember what the name of it was. Crates, that's the name of it. Crates. The Crates plugin. Helps Rust developers manage dependencies with Cargo Toml. Only works with dependencies from crates.io, which is fine, I guess. So, it is not going to work for my local crates, but that's okay. Yeah. So thank you for that, A squared. Hey, now that you're here, I can give you points for that. Let's give you 3 points for that. Thank you. All right, so let's see. What can I do today? Plan today. Show the admin panel only if the route includes admin query. Yeah, let's do that. So right now, if I reload, it's showing this box here, but I don't want it to show that. Actually, I also want to clean this up. I kind of want, instead of choose file, it to say like admin key. And yeah, it should only show up if we do $admin like that. But if I don't do $admin, it shouldn't show it. I'm hoping that that's pretty easy to do. Activities sitting outside in our view. Right here, I'm constructing the admin. It's actually not drop. It's just, I'm not going to do, the drop is sort of a silly thing to support anyway. Let's just call it admin. What? Admin input. Does it actually use it down here? No, it doesn't. All right, but I want it to be only generating this HTML if the admin is in the route. Hey there, IrisNX. Yeah, I haven't been here in forever, like 3 months. 3 months is technically forever now that we're in the information age, right? How are you? I think I'm going to look back at what I did in the JavaScript version of this. You made it to affiliate? Nice. That means I need to shout you out. You're part of the club. On your way to partner, right? Only 3 more months you'll be partner? Or what am I saying? You'll be partner next week, I'm sure. Let's see. Played on my game about a year ago. Yeah, it hasn't really changed much since then. I'm sort of just like using it as a platform to learn new things recently. Like I'm redoing all of it in Rust now, as you can tell. So not really making that much progress on the game sort of end of it. Might be able to say admin input if route. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. A squared. Uh-huh. But the route stuff, I wanted to see how I did it. Source. Would I have done it in middleware or reducers or views? Good question. Activities. It's this show admin job, right? Okay, that is a prop. So that would be pulled in from app, right? Hold on, wait a minute. No. What am I talking about? I'm using Redux there, right? So it should be at the bottom. Yes. Show admin drop. So it's enable admin login in the admin login reducer. This one. Okay, so it's triggered by this action. So it's dispatched. Oh, here we go. Okay, so I had some action dispatched when we initially load the app. And we're looking at what? Window location search and window location hash for certain things, right? So the only one I care about today, I think, is the search. If the search contains admin. So I think I can just access it the same way, right? Let's pin that, maybe bookmark it even. Go back over here. And I only want to do it once, right? So that should be probably just in the create of the main app. We should do that. Like, I don't know, right here, I guess. Sure. We need to get the window. The window I got here somewhere, right? Oh no, I moved it. Yeah, it got moved to the utilities. Window. If I could spell correctly. There we go. Window from utils window. Okay, so then was it here? Yes. Let's just copy paste it. Why not? And we just turn constant to let, and then turn that into a function call, and then import it from utils. Okay, I guess location is a method. And search is a method. So they're all methods. And then this is what? It's just unused. The type is unknown, though. Interesting. What should the type be? How come it doesn't know the type? Do I need to reload this? Hey there, Nui. As Matt says, got a taste for Rust and just have to oxidize the whole world, huh? That's right. I know, it's just got a whole lot of things that click with me. Like the built-in unit testing really clicks with me as far as test-driven development in the back-end stuff, right? Although I've been sort of slacking on that. Hey there, Rally Monkey. I think you're right, A squared. It's probably in the WebSys, which is all generated from IDL. So Rust Analyzer might have a tough time finding the type for it. So yeah, it goes into WebSys window. Oh shoot, it's an option. So it's probably, this probably won't compile, right? Wait, Where did my terminal go? Oh, I reloaded. Does that mean the... Yeah, we got disconnected and it couldn't connect. Okay, so UI npm run dev. I'm wondering if the backend is still running orphaned from the terminal. Only one way to find out. Hey there, after party. Yeah, TDD. I have been slacking on that, but I need to get back into that. Mostly on the backend stuff. Front end, I'm not really that concerned about TDD, except for maybe the reusable components I have. Like, for example, I was showing a little bit about this yesterday. The front end and the back end now can share common code for the message, the protocol. So this like client message here, these are the messages that the client can send, and both the front end and the back end share this code. And so, of course, I got unit tests. And this sort of clicked with me with Rust, is that Rust has the sort of built into it this capacity to define and run tests, right? With the right tools installed, I can just click that, and I'm running the test. And it passed. It's very, very simple. For C++, I had to put in all sorts of extra things in place, right? Well, thanks, Raleigh Monkey. Hopefully you get a chance to watch one of them. They keep the tests with the code they're testing. Yeah. Mocking works okay. It's not as elaborate in the tool set that you get from Google tests. It's pretty simple. So if you like need a fixture or common test code, you kind of have to roll your own thing. But it kind of meshes well with the way that Rust defines modules and configurations anyway. You can see test is itself just a submodule of the create of this module client message, and then this configuration says this stuff should only be compiled if we're in the test configuration. So that means when you build it for production, this code doesn't get compiled, which is just super nice. And if you wanted the test during production, you would just remove that, and now they're there whether you're production or development. Yeah, I love it too. So this is only a choice to put it in the same file. You could also make modules can be in child directories. I could make a child directory called test message and then a file called test.rs, and it would be the same thing. And I would just have to say mod test that, and then it would load that. It would look for that test.rs in client message subdirectory. So it's like whatever floats your boat. Hey there, Pro Table Flipper. Hopefully you've been flipping tables like a pro. All right. So yeah, I've been using TDD for the small reusable components. For stuff like the backend Realm server, I should be doing more TDD. You can kind of tell that I've been slacking if I show you the libr the main RS of the Realm server, just the line count. This is too many lines, right? So this tells me I need to break up the Realm server probably into units, and then I could probably test those units. Is U similar to Elm? I have a command for you. It is more like React and more like React. There is a Rust front-end library closer to Elm, and I forgot the name of it, so let me look it up again. We just go to Are We Web Yet, and then look for where they mention Elm. I thought they mentioned Elm. Maybe it was a different site that I was on that mentioned Elm. Okay, I don't remember that. Maybe it was the WebAssembly book. I can't remember. There's something that's closer to Elm for Rust, whereas U and Seed are more like React.js. I guess we can just search Rust front end like Elm. Okay, I guess that Seed is the one that's more like Elm. That must have been where I read it. When I looked into Seed, which is alternative to U, they claim to have an Elm-like architecture. So you got some choices. You don't like U, you can try Seed and maybe closer to Elm. All right. So yeah, there are too many lines in this. I need to break this up. Like, for example, this write JSON file, I could write a test for that, right? Just give it a JSON, tell it to do its thing, and then look at the file, make sure it is JSON, and I just have been too lazy to do that. Hey there, Cthulhu. Yeah, 3 days in a row. Oh, and I have a little bit of an update about the beast. I took him to the vet yesterday. They don't know what's going on, so we did like x-rays and blood work. Gave him a shot for what ails him, and he seems to be doing better, but it only supposed to last a day. So hopefully long enough for them to figure out what's going on and then figure out how to make him better longer term. Because, yeah, he's getting up there in years, and when you get older, you need like special care, right? To keep going. Otherwise, things start breaking down. All right. What was I doing here that now I have a whole bunch of things I don't need to import? Was I just lazy before? I kind of got distracted too much to where I don't remember what I changed, so I'm going to do a get status. Okay, I did change this. How did I change it? Actually, I could have used the built-in thing here. Right? I could just click on that. Right, that's what I was doing. I had pulled in... Oh, no, I had removed window. So those things I could have removed. I was gonna put window in here. Yeah, that's what I was doing. Yeah, I got the search. That's where I was. Yep. Okay. So since I can just see it now, I can just remove these since I don't need them. Don't need all that stuff. Okay, and then back to the librs. Okay, so this does compile. Right. Yeah. We don't know what the type is because, actually, this shouldn't compile, right? We're saying that this... Oh, no, it has an expect there. Okay, so it's not... it's even though this says it's an option, it's unwrapped by this expect. Okay, so the type at this point should be window, and window should have a location. Oh, okay, that's why Rust Analyzer doesn't know the type of location, because it's extern seed in. And I don't know how that works other than the magic of wasm bind gen. Right? Wasm bind gen. So we'll just see, we'll just experiment. Close that. Close that. Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to see. I reloaded the window. Did that actually keep the front end going or not? We'll soon find out. Yep. So, interesting. That means I'll probably need to kill it. So, yeah, I got orphaned from the terminal. Let me open all my processes and then go kill the orphaned orchestrator. I need to remember whenever I reload the VS Code that I first need to shut down the things that I'm running in the terminal. Yeah, they're all orphaned. Actually, oh, it was only the orchestrator that got killed, but it didn't kill the realm server, so I can just restart them in a new terminal here. New terminal, stage orchestrator, and it should reattach to them. There we go. Yeah, works as designed. It reattached to the game that was already running. See, detected process connecting to it. Fine. It didn't need to relaunch them. That's exactly how it's supposed to work. So reloading VS Code kills the thing I'm running in the terminal, but it doesn't kill its children. So it just orphaned them all, and then when I ran the orchestrator again, it just reconnected to the existing game servers. Nice. So it's, yeah, just killing one level down, not the whole tree. All right, so we're good. Back to work. Close that. So I guess I could just assume that I'm getting the right thing. I'm getting a string and see what happens when I try to use it. So essentially the same thing as what I'm doing in the app here. Was it app? I can't remember where it was now. I'll have to go find it again. Yeah, it was in-game connection, right? So that if it's a string, then we look at the first 6 characters of it, and if it's question mark admin, then we are removing that. Oh, what's this? Why am I taking? Oh, this is stripping that out from the window history. I don't know why I did that. Why did I decide to do that? I probably don't need to do that, right? Oh, thank you for that follow. So yeah, I just need to look at the first 6. So it would be need to give it a name, right? Admin mode, why not? Equals search ends with? No, begins with. Starts with. Admin. Okay, now we get a type hint. So it's a result string JS value. So we can just probably unwrap this, since we're always going to get a search string, right? And then it works. So that's a Boolean. Well, it should be a Boolean. Interesting that it says unknown again. So probably what it is Rust Analyzer can't determine the type, but when it runs the compiler says, yes, I know what the type is. So if I said something like string, it would say that won't work because it's an int or a bool. Yeah, found bool. So the compiler knows that it's a bool, but Rust Analyzer doesn't know the type. That's why it says unknown. Interesting. Hey there, Resubaka. How are you doing today? Oh, and hello also to Stacking and Lycan. Yeah, don't kill orphans, you mean you. I didn't kill them. I collected the orphans. We got them back into a foster home. All right, so I think I want that to be a prop. So that means I'm going to want to keep it in our state so that we can use it in the view. So bool, now it's part of our state, and then I can pass it as a prop to activities, right, in the view. Activity. Oh, I guess I have to include it in, well, I can just include it where it's needed. Like that, right? Didn't like that, why? Oh, self dot. Something else going on. Yep, we're able to find, well, no, it's a new parent. So technically, the game servers did get adopted by a new orchestrator. Hey there, Cyberbob. Good morning. And Romania Hate. It's going okay. Going okay. Okay. Type, yeah, so it's because sitting outside activity it's because it's type strict. It knows that sitting outside activity doesn't actually have props, so we have to give props to this. I suppose we will define it here. Pub struct. Do I have to actually make it pub or not? I'm not sure. Let's just call it props. How is this done? I did it in toggle button, right? Yes. Right, you derive clone and the properties from you, and then it makes it a proper props structure. No, don't panic. Admin mode, bool. And then I have to, whoop, wrong button. Control dot. I wanted to have it, sometimes it doesn't do this. I wanted to do a use u properties. I'll just type it in there myself. Okay, so now that I have this structure and the u properties is derived for it, all I need to do, I think, is go into the class implementation of component and say that's the class we use. Right, and so this should go back to being okay, maybe? Oh, say it says it's private, so I need to make it public. Is it that the field is private or the whole thing's private? So I can make the structure private, but make the field public? Is that how that works? No, they probably both have to be public. Function. Okay, I'm guessing that they both have to be public. Yeah, look at that. Now it's happy. Okay, so then now we have access to that in our props. I need to actually hold on to the props though, right? Because they're given here. We need to keep them. So props. It's just props. Okay. So then in our view, I can say if self.admin mode, no, props admin mode, then use this HTML. EctinDev, thank you for the resubscription. 11 months, wow. And howdy. I'm doing Rust these days, and if you want to see others doing Rust, EctinDev's on this list. Check out EctinDev. Also Mr. Halsey, Togglebit, Musin. There are a bunch of other people. Should make a bigger list now. But yeah, thank you again, EctinDev. Hey there, Dr. Padawan. How are you today? And 715209. How are you? The classiest numbers-only admin or mod that you'll see on Twitch. I haven't streamed in a long time. Glad to still be on that list. I haven't streamed in a long time either. I took 3 months off. You know, sometimes you can't stream all the time, right? Okay, so I don't really need a semicolon there because I can put it on there. HTML empty, like what A Squared was saying. I think this should work. So let's see if it worked. So it's recompiling. Right, so it's not there, but if I add admin, now it's there. Done. I might have to take a short break because the kitty wants in. We have the door closed and he's meowing on the other side of it. So I will be right back in. Oh, no, someone else let the cat in. Never mind, I don't need to leave. All right, so what about that other thing I was doing with window history? Maybe I need that too. I can actually try that out and see what it does. So that would be back in this constructor for the component, right? Yeah, we could it's if it's admin then replace. So I can just say if admin mode that. So window history is probably a function, right? No field history on window. Okay, that's a problem. What about origin? And let's just do a little bit of a optimization, sort of. We don't need to fetch the window 3 times, so we only need it once. So that is a method. Okay, I'm going to cheat and use the compiler to figure out what the type is. So let origin equal, which it will not be a unit, right? So we can get the compiler to tell us what the actual type is. It is a result string. Okay, so then unwrap it, and what do we get? String. So that's what we want. Well, I can just put it in place here. And then to figure out what they did with history, though. I suppose we just hit the docs and see if we find history somewhere else. So this is in WebSys. Just doing this because it seems to be the fastest way to look up the window type. And then, actually, I can just look for history. See, where is it? Okay, so it's its own class. Oh, but there's a getter. So this is probably just a Rust analyzer, not being able to see that, right? No, it's something else. Do I need to have a certain feature turned on? I do. I need the history feature on. All right. Yep, A squared was one step ahead of me. Thank you, A squared. Is my voice weird? Refresh did fix it, huh? So it's not my end, it's something in Twitch then? Because occasionally my microphone does need to get powered off and on again to fix the sound. And I only know that because I listened to the recording. I'm like, yeah, it sounds bad. And then I would turn off and on the mic and it fixed itself. It seems fine now? Okay, so it's probably Twitch's end. All right. Yeah, ooh, in Rust. So, yeah, we need to enable that feature. Not a problem. We have many features here. Yeah, I was reading the other day, I think it was yesterday after the stream that, or 2 days ago after the stream, that when I was learning about WebSys, it said that there's a ton of web APIs, and so they don't enable all of them because it would just bloat the crate. And so they say, well, you need to selectively turn on the things that you want. And it kind of then imports more of the IDL wrapper, the wrappers generated from IDL. Hey there, Raul Rita. I know, it's been a long time. It's been like 3 months for me. How you doing? I'm doing okay. I forgot to say hi to EctonDev. My bad. I'll just type it manually. Primu8. Hey, EctonDev. Hi. Fix that shortcoming of not saying hi. Yeah, I'm okay. My kitty cat's not doing so well, but the vet's gonna call me later. In fact, if I had to take a sudden break, it probably would be the vet calling me with the lab results. I was doing Rust starting around July, August timeframe, and then I even did Advent of Code in Rust. And I actually managed to finish it last year. And I'm liking Rust so much that I decided that what I wanted to do was rewrite my game in Rust. In fact, to even get it into the front end, into the browser, which you can do now. Yeah, my kitty's getting old. He's like 17 years old. Cats don't live more than like 20 years, right? Depends on the type of cat. And so, you know, when you get old, you need medical things, right? So we need to find out, you know, what parts on him are having trouble and need maybe a little bit of assistance. Chemical assistance, right? Better living through modern chemistry and that kind of thing. Yeah. You tried it already? Just a simple test looks promising. Yeah, and there's what's kind of cool is that there are a variety of things. There's not one way to do it, right? I'm using U for the framework, but you can also use Seed, and there's a bunch of other not so popular ones, but probably just as good, just maybe not as mature or not as well known. So yeah, it's looking pretty promising. Okay, looks like I need to unwrap that because I might not get one. On warp, yeah, there we go. And I bet it's not replace state. Oh, it is replace state. But it's rusted. Snake case is the rusty version of that, right? We need only 2 arguments. So which argument am I not supposed to give? What was that first argument? Let's look at the MDN documentation. State object is a JavaScript object which is associated with the history entry passed to the... Oh, probably this one is ignored, right? Most browsers currently ignore this parameter. So I bet you it's that, but that probably means this needs to be a JS value. Yeah, so that's just JS sys JS what is it? JS value You just need to make an empty object, right? What does it actually need to be? It needs to be a JavaScript object. So what's the best way to make an empty object? I made objects out here, right? I guess we can just do map from an empty map and then from entry, so that. Or there's got to be like a way to just call new on it, right? There's no new. Is there a default? You would think that you'd be able to like make a default JavaScript object. So that's sort of clumsy. I can't just make a JavaScript object directly in JSys. How do I make one? Interesting, they have assign, assign 2, and assign 3. Prototype. Undefined. Yeah, they don't have undefined. They don't have null either. Well, they want an object though, right? It can't just... Oh, it can be null. Oh, there we go. There we go. Thank you, A squared. I had been passing empty object, but if it can be null, then let's just use null. Where do you think null is in JSys? There's no null. How about undefined? No undefined either. Interesting. So does it just translate none? Why did it... No, it doesn't like none. Oh, it's not JSys? I was assuming JSys because it's common for all JavaScript. JS value? Oh, but it's not. That's not in JSys. So you want me to go to I think I already actually have JS value imported. All right. I'm surprised though. JS value comes from wasm bindgen. Oh, does JSys depend on wasm bindgen? So then it really is. Yeah, okay. So wasm bindgen is even lower level than JSys. So you're right. So we're descending even lower level for that. It still doesn't like it though, probably because it wants a reference. And probably here too, right? It wants a slice. There we go. But it has a result. I'll get faster with this once I get like kind of acquire a muscle memory for JSys and wasm bindgen. Hey there, LG. Is there a router module for you? Yeah. But even in the JavaScript version of this, I never really bothered with a router. I would just look at directly to the Windows location search and hash, and just basically branched off of that. If you want to do something like more proper, I believe that they do have a router. Are we web yet? I should just memorize the U front page. Go to U. I wish they would actually link directly to their main page. Okay, then it's U Rust, right? Gets us there quicker. Yes, so they do have a router. Yeah. Hey there, Yamashi12. Hi. That's the title, not the URL. But that's I don't remember why I was doing this, but I had a reason. So I'm just basically porting that right now. So replacing the front of the history with the origin for I don't know why. I'm guessing it's to remove the question mark admin. Let's see what it actually does. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't need it. It didn't crash or anything. I probably don't even need it, right? Did this rebuild? I guess I can just save again and it'll force it to rebuild. I don't, maybe I'll just remove it until I, or maybe keep it in there with a comment saying this was ported from the JavaScript version, but I don't know why I did it until I remember or find out. Oh, it's adding a slash in there. It's adding a slash so that the URL looks like that instead of that. I have no idea why I did that. Okay, so I know what it does, but I don't know why I did that. So let's say to do. This was ported directly from the JS version of the front end. It turns, well, it adds a blank slash to the, well, it effectively just adds a slash to the current page's path. I don't remember why this was needed, so I'm commenting it out for now. Please stay with the URL null new location. JC's used to remove the admin, but I'm using the wrong method in Rust, really? History replace state. History replace state. Looks the same to me. Look at the docs again. Okay. Well, why would it work in the JavaScript? Okay, you're saying that maybe I'm not calling the same thing? The optional argument means it has to be a different method. Oh, back to here. Oh, I see what you're saying. I didn't see this one. Okay, so you're saying that, well, why didn't they just use option? I mean, that must be because this whole thing is generated automatically from IDL, and they must have made a design decision at some point that if you have an optional parameter, it splits the method into two methods somehow? Oh, this thing. Okay. I see. All right, A squared gets more points. This is why A squared is a VIP. Always helping me out, finding all the things I'm doing wrong so that I get to the answer faster. Right, so yeah, you're right. I'm calling the wrong method. So let's uncomment it and do with URL. In this case, I do need to put an empty string. Correct? Yes. Okay. Some. Interesting. Why an option? Why an option? Is this just a convenience method for this with none, then? That must be it. This must be just a convenience method for this with none, for the URL. That's odd. Why do that? Yeah. Weird. Alright, it did it actually. See? If I do admin, it chopped it off the history. But if I just do that again, it's gone. Yeah, that's why I did it. Because I didn't want it to show in the URL or the history. All right, so I do know why. I should probably put out why. This is done in order to remove the admin, well, to remove the query string from the URL that is held in the browser's history and shows held in the browser's history and what current URL current page is held. Well, that is, what's the term? Current page, I guess is good enough. Yeah, fine, whatever. All right, that's one thing off the list. That only took me 46 minutes. All right, show an error message if there's a problem loading the key. Yeah, so actually, hold on. I've been bad at this recently. I should check this into Git before moving on. Oh, this is something I did off stream before, so let me check that in separate. This is back, well, show, well, log message when an admin claim is made. Actually, that can go in the summary, sure. These all go together, right? Okay. There might be some other things in there. I need to be careful. This is just remove stuff we didn't need. Oh, I don't know if I staged the right thing there. Nope, I didn't. I did not. Try again. What's the stage? It's just S for the hunk. Okay. We're good on that. But to the stage line, it's... I have to select the line and do S. Okay. Okay, so then this is just cleanup. Remove unused or unneeded uses. Okay, now we're adding the actual feature here. So this is actually there are two features here. Oh, I screwed that up. Oh, what am I saying? They go together. It's show. Actually, no, there are two. Because this was not that. This was some extra code. I just kind of got pulled along. So let me unstage this. So this is show admin key input only when admin is in query. This one is remove admin from query string on load. All right. Better practice, right, is to check in after every little unit of work before going on to the next thing. Show error messages. Yeah. So to get an error, I would load some bad file. So how about just load config? Why not? So it crashes, right? We get that we have an unwrap that we don't want to have in utilities line 33. So let's go find that. Yeah, so this unwrap is to be avoided. So I'm gonna turn this into a result unit anyhow error, and then just do a question mark here. And at the end, we have to say OK. And then where we use this, here, I have to look at that, and if it's an error, we actually want to show it in the view. So I'll say if is error. Actually, we'll kind of want to know what the error message is, right? If let error equal that. Self dot error equals some error. Actually, I guess we'll just do the formatting here. I don't know if this is the best way to do it. I guess we'll just say error and then the message. Probably I just need the message. I don't need the full stack and all that stuff. So error needs to be like an optional string. So it's none here. Option string here. Okay, and then I need to actually show it in the view. So I think I had a place for this in the original sitting outside activity. I just need to find it again. There's for modal errors, but didn't I have like a place to put normal error? Oh, maybe I didn't. I guess I'm thinking of a different view. What did the app level have? Place for modals, pop-ups, toast container. Yeah, so I didn't have any like error placeholder in here. Maybe it was in the playing. Maybe it was in the logging in activity. Not here either. Was it in loading? No. Playing? Placeholder for errors? I thought I had... Oh, maybe it was in one of the dialogues. So what I call a modal. Login, I think. Maybe it is modal error, and I'm just not thinking about this correctly. What is modal error? Let's look. Modal error. Oh, okay, yeah, that's it. So I had a special component that just existed to put a CSS class around an error message. So let's recreate that. Let's have at this level a module called, I'll just call it the same thing. I don't know why I called it modal error. I don't know why I called it, but let's continue to call it that. Hey there, develop it. How are you today? All right, so a prototypical, like a template for a U component would look like this. So I'm just going to copy paste that and call it the F2 didn't work. So I got to manually do this. Probably because modal error is not declared as a module yet. So up here, this sorts them, right? Modal error. Yeah, see how it sorts? I like it how it sorts it automatically. Oh, there's some stuff we don't use. We don't use debug. That I was using in the example. I don't need that anymore, right? I'll clean that out later because this is in some of the commented out code, I think. Right here, where I use disconnect and connect and fetch. Yeah, so we'll leave that around. All right. How am I? I'm okay. My kitty cat's not doing so well, but I'm doing okay. This is a bad name. Let's keep using it. Yeah, it's a bad habit I have. It's because I can't think of what to call it. Maybe I should try to kick that bad habit. Why did I call it? Let me try to understand. Why did I call it modal error? What? Is it because I copied it from modal progress? Modal dismiss? Oh, maybe because these were used in modal. The modal is when it's like a different mode of the UI where everything is grayed out except for one window and you're supposed to interact with that. Sometimes called a dialog box. Right? Yeah, it's a good time. You're right, A squared. It sort of is give you a point. It's a good time to pick a better name. So if this really is just making a div with a certain class name, let's call it just like error message. It's pretty generic, right? Okay, and I can kind of copy the same thing, right? This would be HTML paste. Class name is just class. I'm gonna have to change the CSS in a second. So it's self.error. To do this properly, I think. So yeah, so this just pulled it from the app error. I'm gonna do it with a real prop, right? So I'll want a real prop class with just one prop in it for now. Or should I just cheat and have the prop? Because I could make properties be a string. Like, let's see how that works, because it's pretty elemental, right? Can I do that? Oh, string doesn't implement U properties. Well, shoot. Okay, never mind. Use U properties. So it's just message string. So this will just have message string. All right, so there are no messages. The property is props. This just makes a self where the message is from the props. Update, I think we'll just say it's not implemented or unimplemented. Because we don't have messages. Message is unit. It's not possible to update the component, but change, yes. So change, we just need to change the message. And we should always re-render if the message... Well, I guess we could say only re-render it if it's different. We can say if props.message equals self.message false, else update in true. There's got to be an easier way to do that. Error wrapper, error message works too. Could use a tuple struct and pattern match it out in the methods. Unreachable enables some optimizations. Unreachable? I think it technically is reachable, but only if U screws up and tries to pass us a unit message. It shouldn't be possible, right? I guess we'll just, it's sort of like a contract promise. It will just make it panic or something if it... Do not use unchecked. Yeah, it auto-completed that for me. I don't even know what unreachable unchecked means. Yes. Please import it from you. Thank you. What did I do wrong here? Does that need a space? Oh, this is just message. Cannot move out. It's a string. Can I just borrow it to get a slice? Sure. Fine. There is no message. We don't need the link. All right. Let me fix the CSS now. So there should be like a modal error somewhere. No? Oh, right. This is not a complete CSS. It's missing a lot of things. So I'll need to find where modal error is, actually. Okay, here it is. We'll just grab that and put it... I'm just going simple right now, because I don't know how to have CSS per component. I'm just putting them all together. And it doesn't... Yeah, there's stuff here that doesn't even apply anymore, I think. Problem is, how would I organize this stuff? I think I wanted to go from specific to general or something like that. Or from out, or in. It's really not organized at all. Okay, so let's call it just error. Until there's something more specific, it's just error. All right, so then back in sitting outside. Oh, there was something else, right? Yeah, it's only if the error was something. So let's change this then. I forgot to rename this. This should just be error message. And then the lib. Yeah, see, Rust Analyzer really freaks out when you do that. Hey there, Sarian. So unreachable uncheck compiles to UD2, signals to LVM the code path is unreachable in a more intrinsic way, and you can call sorts of UB. Or are you saying just unreachable compiles to that? Unreachable does not enable optimizations. Unchecked does, but it's very unsafe if it is actually unreachable. Okay. So I could use unreachable unchecked as an optimization. I don't really need the optimization, so I'd rather play it safe. Haha. Thank you for that. That's a good extra bit of reading. I'll attach it to my notebook. All right, yeah, I wanted to make the error message optional. So this is it's all option string. And then here, then it becomes if let some message equals self.message that else just empty HTML, right? That should match what I had for modal error. Yeah. This should just be message. Cool. So it disappears if there's no error message. Right. Knew for sure that the code never be reached unchecked could be used for optimizations. I'm pretty sure it should never call this unless there's a bug in U. But there could be a bug in U, right? And if so, we might want to have it panic there so we know that, hey, there's a bug in U. Yeah, we don't want corruptions and we don't want the fun to happen, right? Yeah, so I'm just going to leave that there. Back to sitting outside. Yeah, that's true. The fun is not fun. I use fun in quotes. Like the Dwarf Fortress kind of fun. As in like chaos. And chaos at work is usually not a good thing. Okay, so I think we just want to put a placeholder here. Let's put the state in first, though. Oh, I have the state. Perfect. So then we just need to put the div. Okay, this had it. I just dismissed it. It goes right after this paragraph. And I think if the props is just a string, I can just do this, right? Self.error. But I'm not sure. Okay, maybe not. Maybe I have to put it in braces. Okay, so what do I have to... I have to give it a name? I think I'm gonna have a problem with this, right? Oh, no, it's just that it can't find it. Okay, so then I have to use it. Why is that use separated from the rest? Actually, can I control dot that? No. So I have to pull it in by hand. Use crate error message. All right, but it's still not good. Oh. Yes, reference that, please. And that actually would work. Interesting that I have to give it a name there. Am I still working on... Hey there, glitching. Yes, but I am sort of opinionated on how I'm working on it. Like, if this was... If the goal was mainly to get the game out there only and I didn't care about anything else, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. What I'm doing right now is I took a step back in the development of the game to rewrite everything in Rust. Because I wanted to, and so my apologies if you would rather see the game being developed. It's I'm just doing what I want because it's my hobby. Sorry. Well, I'll try to get what I want and my hobby back in alignment with what other people want by as quickly as possible getting the game back to where it was, but in Rust, and then we'll all be happy, right? That's true, Glitchin. I just don't want to offend people who are like, I came here to see you add more to your game. What are you doing rewriting it in Rust? I'm curious why I had to give it a name, and yet the type of the property is just oh wait, I did have to... Okay, that's why I did have to give it a struct, right? Because it had to derive properties. That makes sense. So if I name this something else, the strong typing will say there is no message X, right? Yep. So that's one benefit of Rust, I suppose, over JavaScript, is that there's strong type checking on the properties of subcomponents. Meme clear bombs. Slightly renamed. How are you doing? I wonder if my bot remembers who you are by user ID. Let's see. Depends on when you joined. I don't even see... Did you join a while ago? Or maybe... Okay, my bot might not even... No, my bot shouldn't know. I know what your user number is. Wait, there's a bug, looks like. Unless you just changed your name? Did you just change your name from Glitchin to Meme Clear Bombs? Or was my bot confused? Yeah, Stream Elements knows. Glitchin and Meme Clear Bombs are different users, but my bot says... has the same number. Oh, no, it's showing my user... Okay, my bot has a bug. It's saying that I'm greeting you, but then it's showing my user number. Yeah, your user number is definitely different from Glitchin's. And it has no record from before. So this is a new account then. Wait a minute. You made a new account, but Stream Element says you've been following for a year and 9 months? What? I think Stream Elements is, Oh, no, you... Okay, I'm confused. You didn't type follow age of yourself, you type follow age of your original account. But this is a new account, not a rename. So why'd you make a new account? What happened to your old account? Your old account was, it had the prestige of having it be older. You could have just renamed it. Anyway, let's see if this works now. If this works, then if I get an error message, it should pop up. Let's reload. It didn't compile. Why not? It says it compiled. Oh, is this? No. This should compile. What's going on here? It compiled successfully. And then it rebuilt. Why is this not loading? I think Webpack might be confused. Let's restart Webpack. Webpack sometimes gets confused. Yeah, Webpack got confused. Cache clear, refresh it. How would I do that? I just restart Webpack and then it fixes itself. Hey there, Ultramark. Am I throwing out words that make no sense? Did I say sometimes in the wrong context? I do that. I tend to do that from time to time. You could probably get CSS modules working with you and Webpack to have scoped class. Oh, really? Well, thank you, LG. I'll give you 3 points for that. Let me take a look at that later. Because that would be sweet. Because I do kind of like localizing CSS to the components where I use them. It's just that to make the Webpack simpler, what I did was in the Bootstrap, I just said require one CSS. Because I'm like, well, if I had CSS per component, that means I would have to manually maintain the list here, or some other trick to get Webpack to pull in the CSS correctly. I didn't know how to do it more elaborately than just pile it all into one CSS file. Because it actually, when it makes the dist, it's renaming it with a hash. Oh no, it's not only renaming it into a hash, but it's incorporating into the JavaScript. So if I go here and I search for error, it's in here. Error is a stupid thing to search for. What's something? Front door, right? We'll be able to find that internally. Oh, interesting. Is it because I don't use it? No, I do use it. So why is that not here? Okay, I thought it would be there. Maybe it renames it too. I don't know. It just works. I can use it and it works. Actually, it might be that I don't use that, and so it stripped it out with tree shaking. Anyway, I'm getting really sidetracked. Just messing around in the game, you could go through a wall. Oh, there are some illusionary walls glitching. There are some of those. If you went through one that you shouldn't have been able to go through, I'd like to know. But yeah, I guess it's not giving away that much. But yeah, that's an illusionary wall. See the little rotating square? That's intentional because it's supposed to be a hidden passage to get back to some more stuff there. Yeah, so that's okay. But if there was a wall that you shouldn't be able to get through, then I'd want to know about that. Got to get you some background artwork for that page. Artwork is probably going to come later, Cthulhu. I'm sorry. Could define an extern with wasm bind into emit a require statement. Okay, so that's... So I don't know how to do that yet. So these are all good suggestions. Good suggestions always earn points. Oh, A squared? At one point, if you escape the map, you can keep going. At one point during the development of the game, you could keep going. I don't know if you still can. I might have made it so you can't walk on a void square. But yeah, you could get way outside the map, it used to be, right? And then I had to go find people and like teleport them back. All right, so we're back to working. I need to type this because it keeps removing it by design. Pick a bad file, and I should get an error message pop up. Okay, it didn't do it. It should have, though. Let me trace this back to what we're doing here. Oh, I think I know what happened. I have a false here on should update, and that needs to be a true for here. So I think we need to say true. Actually, you know what would be cleaner is just say let mute should render equal false. And then set that to true, and then return that instead of false. Yeah, it chose not to re-render. Try again. Oh, yep. Got to type that in again. There we go. Invalid byte 91 offset 0. Okay, I obviously need to make it a little bit more user-friendly. Hey there, Oscar Alien. Is that a good suggestion? I don't know. I think you need to try a little bit harder, but hello, how are you doing? And CM Griffin, I missed your chat. You're in lurk mode. Just noticed the CSS modules comment. There's also styled you. All right, then you get a point, sir. I will copy your suggestion as well. And I also didn't say hi to Russ Jr. 08. Hello, fellow internet person. Yeah, hi. Did you guys know about Stream Parrot? Because Chris is probably working on it right now in his stream. I don't know, but maybe. But he made the chat overlay above my head. If you want to learn more about that, go check out his channel. He's the one who also inspired me to try you, and he's one of the people who inspired me to try out Rust as well. Yeah, probably favorite. Oh, thank you, Glitchin. You should check out other coder streamers, though. There's quite a variety of them. Some are more entertaining than others, right? Some do more coding than others. There's quite a variety. Okay, I need to make this more user-friendly, right? That's sort of a bad thing to say. I think we can include that information for the developer, but I need to add some information. Probably I can say I can put a context here, right? Context unable to load private key. Context is something that we get from anyhow. It's a pretty awesome thing. What it does is it puts a wrapper around an error and adds some extra context, like the name implies. So if I do admin again, and I click choose file, and I pick a horrendously bad file. Oh, right. If we were to print out the source of the error, we would see the extra string. Or if I did it with the debug mode, maybe that would be better. I guess I can just include that in the error here. I could say this error.source. Well, actually, I'm curious what happens if I do, what is it? That's pretty print, I think? Or is that pretty print debug mode? I don't know if it'll handle multi-line correctly. Okay, it didn't compile. Why not? Not this again. It must be like you guys are saying. It must be a cache problem. It's trying to go to the wrong WASM file. You would think that Webpack's whatever they call that feature where it auto reloads would detect that, but it's just sometimes it doesn't seem to. Bad file. Okay. That's not what I want then. Let's try that. That time it worked. Who knows why the Webpack screws up sometimes? See, the problem here, it's what I was afraid of. There's a line break here. So we would need to turn the line breaks into BR tags, I think. I mean, we could do that just like through a hack, right? I could say format and then dot replace. Actually, is there a replace new lines? No. It's probably always going to be well, character turn line feed? Let's guess that it's always going to be a new line. The new should be actually, this is a problem. This can't be a string anymore. It has to be an HTML. And that means I can't use format. I have to use HTML. Okay, then I don't want to do it here. I want to keep it the way it is, and I want to do it in error message. Right? Inclination would be to help a function to build a pretty string. It's sort of the job of error message, though, right? If its prop is a string and we just say it could be a multi-line string, then maybe what we need to do here is turn it into an HTML without assuming it'll fit as a string. So we can say like let message equal message dot split. Was it split or no, lines? It was lines, right? Lines dot and we'll get an iteration of strings, and if I want to make an HTML, I guess what I want to do is make a fragment out of this and intersperse them with breaks, right? Does it do expansions? I think so. I think the way it works is HTML, and then you say like for, and you omit the variable and the in keyword. I think that works, but this won't add the breaks like I want, right? In fact, there's this break here that I want. What I want to do is like mix it with breaks. So like if it's like line 1, line 2, line 3, I want it to be line 1 break, line 2 break, line 3 break. So how do we do that with an iterator? Is there like something we can do with the iterator where we mix it? Wouldn't that be zip? Something like zip? No. You can add those indentation dots in VS Code. Oh, how do you add them? That is this setting right here, render whitespace all. So if you do boundary, it only shows them on the left and right hand sides, but won't show the dots in the middle. If you use none, then you get no dots. If you do selection, it shows the dots only in the selection you have, and then trailing, it'll show trailing dots, but not the ones at the beginning. So it shows that, but it won't show the beginning ones. So I use all, because I like to see white space all the time. Yeah, no problem. Almost, I'm going to call you John. No problem, John, and hello. Iter split join. So that... I'm not sure what you mean by split join. Well, thank you for the follow, by the way. I was going to look at cheats to see what iterator does. Well, I would want... Okay, so let's imagine that there was a method that would say like mix in or something. I would want to mix in an HTML BR. Right? Because this is going to be... Oh, I need to map it first to HTML, right? So map from line to HTML. Do I need to have another brace? I think I do. So I turn a sequence of strings into a sequence of HTML wrapped strings, and then I want to mix in between each line a HTML break. Wrap it in a pre-tag? Oh, that's true. But so LG's solution is probably the best, but let's say I wanted to learn like what that is. This should work, right? Okay, I have to answer this. I will be right back. Hey, sorry about that. And thank you, mods. You guys rock. So yeah, that was the vet. So not surprising news. But yeah, he's going to need some help to keep going and be happy. But we got a plan, so. Oh, lines.map, line, HTML line. I guess we could do it with fragments, right? I don't even think I want to drop the last. I actually had a break at the end there on purpose, but maybe we don't need it. So yeah, sir, I think I know what you're saying. Like, we could just put, yeah, actually, why couldn't I just put a break here? And then this becomes messages, or message lines. Without that trailing break. Maybe that just works, right? I didn't like that. Probably because it wants a fragment here. We can give it a fragment, that's fine. That actually might work. Okay, did I miss anything else while I was gone, other than someone trying to sneak in and the mod hammer coming down? Alright, the joinery crate. Actually, I want to bookmark that, because I don't know the joinery crate. Maybe that's something I could use later. So thank you, Sarian. And I'm going to give A squared another point for the idea to just put the break in the map. I didn't type exactly what you typed, because I think this would work too, and then we wouldn't need to do a zip and repeat. Oh yeah, and LG too. LG as well. I actually ended up doing more like what LG said, right? Okay, let's see if this works. Yeah, but they're both good ideas, so I'll give you both points. Did this already reload? I'm not sure this actually reloaded. Let me hit save again to force it to reload. Okay, yeah, there it goes. Recompiling. It did reload. I was just slow. All right. So yeah, the vet is going to probably call me back at some point later, and so if I have to go suddenly BRB again, you'll know it's the vet calling. Choose file. Hey, perfect. Only problem I think is that I don't really want to center all those lines. Let's see what the CSS looks like there. Oops, actually it was already open. Why did I close it? Okay, there's another call. I'll be right back again. Sorry about that. Okay, got the vet appointment. So, sorry about me having to go BRB for a while. Alright, so I think I wanted to inspect that and see if I understand the DOM correctly here. So the DOM is that it is... Where is it? There was, yeah, the text is centered. The, I really would just want to center the whole block. So would that be just make a div and then an inner div which is centered? No, an outer div which is centered, but the inner div is not, right? Let's see if I can do some wizardry here. So it would be maybe having two CSS blocks. So this is error box and then error. And it's not text align center here. It would be like the margin would go. It doesn't really matter, but the I forget my CSS, but it's not text-align here. It's not text-align center. It's something else, right? Yeah, I'm using U for the front end now. Will this be logic and graphics rendering? I think graphics rendering too, but I'll probably just be using WebGL API from U, which is going through the WebSys again. So WebSys is I looked this up. WebSys exposes a WebGL API, so I'll probably just go directly to that. You don't need a second div? Margin auto on the div should do the trick. Oh, and just I see what you're saying. No second box. Just don't text align. Instead of text align, have it margin auto. Margin left right auto. Well, can I comment that out and just, so you said not auto, because I want to have a non-auto margin top, so mark margin left auto? Would that be good enough? Okay. It's the size is also a problem, right? It's stretching it. That probably has to do with this, with this div, right? Because these are all being stretched. Probably because this div is got something in it. Actually, I don't see anything in here that would do that. So I need the right as well, probably. It's been a while since I've done CSS. I might have to take a refresher. Did I wait long enough for that? I did. Okay, actually, why am I reloading? I can just manipulate this myself, right? I can just turn that off. Turn that on and see that what it originally did. So I can play with this myself here. So it's not enough to have the margin auto. I think it's because it's being auto-sized by its parent. Wouldn't I just do width auto or something? Or min content? Max content. There we go. That's what I want. Do I even need the margin then? Okay, I do need the margin. I need both of okay, I need both margins if I want to center it. Although I'm starting to think now maybe it's okay that it's on the left, that's left aligned. Maybe I'll just go with width max content because that, oh, actually don't even need that. I need that if I want to center it. If I want to center, I do width max content. I actually kind of like the way it looks. I will do that. Yeah, so margin left and right and width max content. WebSys lets you access a canvas WebGL without having to go through. Yep, it does. Does it allow you to access WebSockets to request? Yes, it does, and I'm using that. It's pretty cool, Squiddy. And hello, by the way. I was showing this the last couple days. Where is it exactly? Or you can see it kind of there, but I wanted to go from the beginning. Right, I put in this function. Yeah, so it's in WebSys, but then U itself has an abstraction layer as well called the WebSocket service. But we can click in there, you can see what it's actually doing. It is going to give you a WebSocket nuke as if it was in Rust, but and this is where I can't click into it because it's WebSys is auto-generated from the WebIDL. But yeah, you basically get all of the API from WebSocket, but kind of translated into Rust. So a new is the equivalent to just calling the constructor. And so you have all the other things like add event listener, or I guess they have this wrapper for it, event listener new. How do they do this? I guess it's done outside, right? Where do they attach the listeners? Did I miss it? WebSocket. I guess it's done by this event listener new. And then raw new. Yeah, see this add event listener? I don't know why this name is so long, but ultimately all this wrapper stuff boils down to it's as if you did it in JavaScript, but you can do it from Rust. And it has a reasonably similar or compatible API, and then you further abstracts it into this thing called WebSocket service, which gives you back a WebSocket task, which you can, where is it? You get back out, no, that's not what I'm looking for. You get back something that, what am I? Oh, right. You hold on to the WebSocket task in order to hold on to the WebSocket because it holds it internally. And the way you use the WebSocket is through callbacks. And to send, I think those are extra methods they add here somewhere. Yeah, here we go. Extra methods onto WebSocket task are to send text and binary. So yeah, it's probably going through a minimal amount of JavaScript because the WebSys generates both Rust and Rust and JS code, but it's very minimal. It should go directly to the API in the browser. Yeah, it's pretty neat. Doing things in JS because you assume the cost of translation. I mean, maybe it's slow. It depends on how efficient that WebSys is. And I don't know if anyone's benchmarked it to tell if it's faster or slower than you doing it directly in JavaScript. I don't know. This indexing problem, I've noticed that I can only really solve it by reloading. Actually, the cost of reloading isn't that big, so I'm just going to do it now. I just have to remember when I reload, first thing I got to do is adopt the game server again and go to the UI and start Webpack again. Sending binary will just grab a slice from the WASM memory without copying. Yeah, if it takes a reference. That's all the benefit of Rust. When it goes through that translation layer, it does have to put the data into JavaScript, though. I don't think JavaScript can reference Rust WebAssembly memory directly. I could be wrong, though. I could be wrong. Don't take my word for it. Maybe you know more. I just assume that if when it gets to the browser's API, it's designed with a JavaScript API, and so it probably needs the memory to reside in JavaScript. It can? Okay. Awesome. As you could probably guess, I didn't delve that far because I just depended on being able to call send binary. And it's like, okay, I'm going to give you a slice of the signature that came in with this message, and if you need to move it into JavaScript, go ahead. Otherwise, you don't need to. Can the WebSocket message be in binary than JSON? Yeah. So it's the send binary, pix binary. The way they do it in U is they have two traits called text and binary. So you use a type that can be converted into binary or text. A binary is just, and I don't know why they have it wrapped with result, other than that maybe when you're receiving these messages, it uses the same callback to give you errors as it does to just give you the data. But anyway, binary is essentially anything that can be turned into a vector of bytes, and text is anything that can be turned into a string, but with this result wrapper around it. Which is why when I do send, I have to do an OK wrapper around that. Just, a little bit of extra wrapper, but that's okay. That's how the glue code works. WASM just accepts numbers as arguments, so everything is a pointer. Oh, okay. Well, that's nifty then. That should be faster then, right? If you don't have to put it into JavaScript memory. Yeah. Yes, I should have just said Squiddy. The answer is yes. That's another thing I'm doing here with the rewrite in Rust is all the messages are in binary because I figure that if I needed to see the messages in text, I can pretty easily just change it to send text and just deserialize with serd JSON. The code is very minimal. This 2 bytes here would become serd JSON to bytes or serd JSON, and then this send binary becomes send, and on the other end, instead of from bytes, it would be serd JSON from string or whatever, right? So it wouldn't be too hard for me to switch it to text and to switch it back between text and binary, and I don't have to change much code, so I'm like, I'll go binary unless I have a bug that I have to deal with, and then I'll maybe switch to text. And I could even have the game backend support both, right? Because it comes in through different code paths. One is a text message, the other is binary, and we could have both set up. Yeah. Here's the link to U if you want to bookmark it, or just web search Rust U. If you just look up U, you'll probably find links about trees. I forgot to say hi to Anakim Luke. Did that happen while I was away? Or did I miss? Oh no, there's Anakin Luke. Hi. Hi. All right, so I kind of got distracted from what I was doing. Oh right, what I was doing was to make sure that this displays it the way I like. There we go. So that's done. I can check that in. That was the next unit of work, right? Was to show the error message instead of crashing. So that's what I want to check in now. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. I do have a hard time cutoff for the stream. I have to end no later than 2 hours from now. Let's see. But I'll probably go at least another hour. When I first used WebSockets, I used WebSockets a long time ago, actually. I think it was way back in 2018. Yeah. July 2018. So it's been 2.5 years. And I got into WebSockets by writing it myself from the RFC. Yeah, that's what I consider fun. Is to implement things myself straight from the standards. So I've written it myself in C++. I've written it for myself in Rust, and I know how to use the web API, which you can use directly in JavaScript, or you can, like we were talking about, use through the WebSys wrapper in Rust. And I've also used WebSockets in with Tungstenite library in Rust, which is what I'd recommend if you're going to not write it yourself or do it in the backend without WebAssembly. Is if you're going to do WebSockets in Rust, just go with Tungstenite. It's a pretty good implementation, pretty popular. It's #1 in the category of WebSockets in Rust. And I don't know what to recommend for C++ other than my own library. Is the standard open free to see? Yes, it's RFC. You can just search for it. Just search for WebSocket RFC 6455. There you go. If you enjoy reading technical specifications, this thing is pretty comprehensive. The WebSocket protocol. The only thing you really have to understand, in addition just to how to read technical documentation in general, is you need to have some background in HTTP. So you need to know like what an HTTP client, server, request, response, all that is. Because WebSocket sits on top of HTTP to bootstrap. Once it gets running, you're technically switching to it from HTTP, so you're not using HTTP anymore, but you do need HTTP to bootstrap it. And this is actually the bootstrapping protocol, right? You do an upgrade to WebSocket, connection upgrade, and it comes back, upgrade WebSocket switching protocols, and then after the headers are done, you stop doing HTTP and you start doing the WebSocket framing. But yeah, if you enjoyed reading technical standards, then there you go. Background, yeah, reading technical specs in general, and then HTTP. Okay, thanks, develop it. You appreciate all of your mod actions and watching my back. Thank you very much. How much HTTP do you need? Just conceptual, like I was showing just now. I closed it. Open it again. When they describe the this, if you understand what these are, then you're good. If you don't, then you might want to like read an intro to HTTP to understand that this is a request made from the browser to a server, and this is the response back from the server back to your browser, right? But yeah, if you know what this is, I think you're good. Otherwise, yeah, maybe like an intro to HTTP would be something you'd want to start with. It doesn't go into a lot. It was literally that section of code. Just understand that that's how you get a WebSocket started. After that, no more HTTP. It's all the framing. It's all self-described in that standard. All right. The dog decided to sit right over there. Hey, dog. Yeah, next work item. Oh, before that, I was going to check in. How could I forget? We need to check this code in. Okay, so this is essentially the summary is show admin key loading errors rather than crashing. So the elements are add error message component, catch errors loading private keys, and then how exactly did I pass it on? Oh, right. Use error message in sitting outside. Is sitting outside activity? I think it is. To show any error that happens trying to load the admin key. That's it. I don't think I did anything else. Commit. Push. On to the next thing. Get failed? Or get passed? Tried reading the C standard? Yeah, C standard is way deep. To understand the C standard really well, I think you have to have a good solid background in compilers and parsing and languages and computer languages in general. It's thick, definitely. C++, that would be even harder, I think. You know, WebSocket U as well could do a YouTube video explain the details. I thought I was going to. Thank you for the reminder. I should do that, right, Anakin? I should do that. Did I? Oh, I switched to a different day. That's why the font size is different. I should do that. Let me give you a point, Anakin. That's an awesome idea. I should do a YouTube video about WebSockets. Well, essentially, Sarian, that's what I do. I would kind of gather stuff from those old VODs and in my own code, and then like basically a YouTube video should just be a summary, because people don't like to watch entire VOD if they just want to learn something. Usually they just want a quick summary and then maybe some links to more details, and maybe if I could walk through using it, but I wouldn't like want to show the entire thing being developed or reading the entire spec. Yeah, not 7 or 8 hours. It'd be like, keep it to like 15, 20 minutes maybe. I've been told that, yes, your mother, that I have a radio voice. And hello. There's that helper that cut the silences from videos, so that might help you listening to the VODs. Well, and also people will speed it up by 2x, like Enduran just said. Yeah. Play it on 2x speed. Play it on 8x speed. Adam13531 knows a trick to speed it up even more than the UI lets you. So you could, I don't know what the maximum is before it breaks, but you can go faster than 2x, right? You're playing this stream. Wow, then you're a hello from the past, Anakin Luke. You're from the future, apparently. You'll hear me, but with a lot of skips at the boundaries between buffers. That would probably sound awful. Okay, so the next task I was going to work on is reselecting the admin key should try reloading it. So I don't think this actually works now, right? So if I choose a different file, it probably won't work. Actually, I think it just did. But it doesn't remove the error message. We need to do that. Admin, right? So first load a bad one. Error message. Load a different one. Okay, actually it does work, but it doesn't remove the error message. We got to do that ourselves. Please don't tell me it's open source. There's an extension that lets you do... Yeah, I think, doesn't he just manipulate the DOM to do that? Oh, there you go. There's something where you don't have to manipulate it. You just use something. I'm curious now, like, what's the max speed before it totally breaks down? It would either be limited by, like, the human comprehension or the limits to how well the algorithm could compress it before the audio breaks down by this because of the sampling rate, or it could be that you exceed the ability for your network connection to download it quick enough, unless you, I guess, downloaded the whole thing before you started watching it. So I think before we, like the moment we drop it in, we should clear the error, right? Should probably do it right here. So self.error is none. Or just take the error. That's a cooler, more hip way to do it in Rust, is just take that error away. And we say should render is true, right? Reload that thing. Someone, how could they open the door? The dog thinks. How could you open that door? Bark, bark, bark. All right. You might hear the dog in the background. I'm sorry. If it bothers you guys too much, I can do this. Okay, so choosing the right file. Cool. So they did the right thing. Okay, I'm going to check that in. That went quick. Allow retrying selection of admin key. The extended description is this already worked under the hood. We just need, I should use not past tense, but present tense. This already works under the hood. We just need to clear the display of the, previous error. Stage, commit, push. On to the next thing. Depends on what kind of sound you're hearing. Yeah, I'm thinking typical human speech. And it might vary, like a bass versus, what do you call it? Like, some pitch of someone's voice might also affect how fast you could play it before it really breaks down and sounds like a chipmunk you can't understand. It's because you use the screen reader sounds. Oh, yeah. You heard the bork, bork, bork? All right, next thing. Switch to playing activity immediately when so this is, my goal was to try to get the code to be more like what I had in JavaScript, where the moment I select an admin key, it switches to playing and then starts to connect to all the servers. Rather than like trying to connect to just one hard-coded server, we would say, basically, we're now playing the game, but we happen to have an admin key. So rather than needing to log in, we just look at what the server set is and just try to connect to any server we don't have a connection to, which means to maintain a connection. So if we lose it, we need to reconnect. So I'm thinking the way I did in JavaScript, I'll do it similar here. If we have an admin key, we'll collect a set of connections that we need to have based off of the client configuration, which I was still printing out here, right? These servers, so like 3 of them, right? 8084, 8688, right? So we'll have a set of 3 things in it, and we'll start them off with empty, like none for option. And we'll have something in there where if any of them are none, then we'll kick off a task to a WebSocket task to connect to it. And then if any one of them close, then we'll try to reconnect. and basically keep that going. And then that'll be pretty much the same thing that I have in the JavaScript version. So the first step is to switch to that activity. So basically, we're going to be moving the connection stuff to the playing activity. So that means I'll need to have this admin flag go back up and then back down into the playing activity, right? So I'll need some kind of way to talk back to the parent, and I don't know how to do that yet. So I think I'm going to have to review these docs in U first. I'm not sure exactly where they would talk about it, maybe here. I might have to look at examples. So this is how to get properties down to a child, right? This is, okay, mutating properties in nested components. I don't really want to do that, but yeah, we know we can nest. We know we can pass props, but how do we get things back up? I guess we'll just look at examples. I want to look at something simple. The to-do app sounds... How about just the nested components? Example, source. Let's look at the app first. I'll make it bigger so you guys can read too. Okay, the view has a bunch of things in it. What components are here though? List, I guess? Okay, so they make callbacks. I think this is what I want, right? And probably what the list does is it emits the callback. Okay, there's a weak link. What is that? Weak component link. Interesting. What do they use that for? I guess we'll have to look at list to see what this weak link is used for. Okay, so the list has an on-hover prop, which is a callback back to ourself. So this is probably what they use to... This is how list sends hover message back to the app, right? We don't know what the weak link is used for, but we know how they make it. It's a default weak link thing. Yeah, I have no idea. I guess it's between... probably it's between these two things, right? It's probably forming a link between this list header and the list. That's my guess. Let's see how right I am. So, list first, right? So, they should have in their props the on... Dog interrupting me. How could you, dog? Okay, so, where's the props? Yeah, so here's the callback. Here's the weak link. Woof. Yeah, see, if the dog were to not stop barking, I would do this. Doggo barking. Alright, so let's see. How do they use these things? Okay, so they do a borrow mute. Oh, this is in order to store it in what? That's interesting. Oh. I see what they're doing. They're taking the link that the U framework gave and storing it in the weak link. Oh, this is probably this weird thing where they do getting a reference and then assigning it through dereference. That's probably because there's an into, right? To go from a component link into a weak link component link. Yeah, there's probably an into going on there. So they're basically taking the link and giving it to the list header through that weak link. All right, that's what I'm going to guess. You love the dog, don't suppress his voice, he needs to be heard. Silly question about the RC. How do you read it? Just top to bottom? I usually read those top to bottom, but other people might skip around. There's a table of contents. You can start with just read from the top just the intro section, and then once you get a gist for what it is, then jump around to what you care about. So it's up to you. But I generally read them from top to bottom because I'm just, you know, nitpick. Is the right word nitpicky? No. Perfectionist. I just like to read the whole thing. Some RFCs though are humongous, and like to read them from cover to cover is like kind of like reading a dictionary cover to cover, and doesn't make much sense. So then you would want to use the table of contents, skip around. All right. This is good. Was header click the other one that we saw? No, there was an on hover, right? I want to see where this on hover is used. Okay, here it is. I don't know what reform means. I'll have to look that up. Do I have that? Do I have U? No, I don't. So I need to open the U docs for that. See what reform means. Reform. Changes the input type of the callback to another. Works like a map, but in the opposite direction. That's strange. I think it's because callback is really using the type. Yeah. It's contravariant, in other words, right? It's the generic type of the callback is in, and that's the output here. So we're going from something else to the type that the callback wants. Okay. I went to the wrong thing. So here it's this, and we're using it with on hover, which... Okay, on hover needs hovered, right? Oh, no, take that back. So, on hover takes hovered list or hovered none, but on mouse over doesn't want a hovered. It wants something else, I guess. I guess the type is implicit here. I suppose it has to do with the type that you get with on mouse. Okay, yeah. We're ignoring it. Basically, the event here is the type of the callback, and no, it's not the type of the callback. It's the type of the argument to the callback. Anyway, maybe I don't quite understand it. Remember, rubber ducking is if I can't explain it to you, then I don't understand it. A map as in hash map, as in dhash. I think map is in a Rust, like the Rust map, right? Where it's just changing a value from one type to another. I think they say opposite direction because it's in the, it's producing what the callback needs ultimately, right? So it's making another callback that if you call it, translates it back from a callback T to a callback in. So this T in our case would be a mouse event, right, of some kind. So it's going to generate a callback that works with mouse events, but then it's going to turn it into a callback for these hovered. Okay, so I think I understand this. It's basically an adapter between one kind of callback and another. So then these are wrapped so that they can work with the mouse events, but they actually trigger the props on hover, and depending on which callback is called, it generates one message or another. Okay, I got it. I think I explained it well enough that I understand it now. I think LG is right. It wraps a child message into a parent message. Yep. Get elements by tag name video, play article. It didn't expect to work, but it does. Yeah, I think that's what Adam did. Is you just inspect the DOM and you go to the element that the video player's in, and you just set its playback rate in the console or some other way to manipulate the DOM. Okay. So that weak link, right, probably is used in the... Actually, no, we haven't seen where it's used. Where's the weak link used? Weak link. Oh, this is providing it by setting our own link and providing it to someone else. Probably the someone else is the header, right? So that probably this is getting the weak link as an input. Yeah, this. Got it. So that list link. Interesting. So we're taking the link, which is, I guess, something we have to call borrow on. All right. And then cloning that. I'm guessing it's a reference when we borrow. So it's getting basically another reference to that, the main list, and using it to construct a callback. Right. And of course, its callback type, its output is supposed to be list message. Okay, so this is how to send a message from one component to another. You get a link in, and you construct a callback on it, and then you use that callback as a prop to one of your DOM elements. This onClick. All right, so that's cool. So now that I've read that, do I understand enough to do what I want here? What I want is that when the key gets loaded, I want that key to be passed back up. Yeah, instead of us connecting to the server here, I want to move this out. I essentially want to it's going to end up in playing and not in sitting outside or in the parent. So yeah, we'll comment it out for now, but I'll need to move this. So I actually don't want it to be I don't need it to be a prop anymore. I can keep that around for now, right? But I do need it to go up, so I will need another prop. So let's make a prop. Where are my props? Here are my props. So this prop will be, and do they, in the examples, do they do public also? Yeah, they do. Just making sure I'm just doing this correctly. So I should probably use the same naming convention, right? A callback should start with on. So this would be on admin key loaded. And the type of this would be callback crypto key, right? What's hovered here? Let me look back at the list again. What is hovered? Oh, okay, yeah, it's just the payloads. That's what I want, right? And now it'll be broken for a couple reasons. Callback needs to be imported. And now this will run, I mean, this will compile so I can use it to emit, right? Self.that.emit admin key. Oh, we'll want to reference count it. So yes, RC. And I think we just clone, right? So I can just do self, or I can just do that. No, I don't want to make another reference count to the same thing. It gets moved in. So yeah, I need to do self admin key dot clone. Right? I have that right? No. Oh, it's props. Why does it find an option? Oh. That's an option? Oh, right. I used replace. Shoot. So let's just shadow that. Let admin key equal that. And then first use would clone it, I guess. So this would say that dot clone. And then last use, we can just give it, right? There we go. Cool. Hey there, Neo Chromer. Finally catching a stream. I'm trying to, right now, while I can stream during this time period, try to stream around the same time. It's going to change again, though. That may be good or bad for you. I'll probably be streaming later in the next few months. And maybe even only on the weekends. It depends on the job situation. And you being in Europe would mean that I would go from being an evening streamer to a day streamer, or early morning, right? So could be good or bad. Yeah, I'm in the West. I'm in California, US. All right, so right now it's one of our props. Our parent won't compile because the prop is missing because it's strongly typed, right? Exactly. So let's add some extra lines here to make it a little bit easier to deal with. And we'll add our required prop on admin key loaded. Self dot link dot why am I trying to type this from scratch? I should just copy. Callback message admin key loaded. Right? And so we just need to add that to our message type. Where here it is. Admin key loaded, RC crypto key. Right? Yep, from JS to Rust. It has been fun, actually. It's Rust when I write it, but it gets compiled into WebAssembly. We're using WasmPack, which is run at build time by Webpack. So in the Webpack, we use the WasmPack plugin. You could do it manually just by running installing and running the wasm-pack tool. It essentially takes the crate that we write in Rust and compiles it into WebAssembly and adds a little bit of glue layer for JavaScript. So you end up with this where like this indexbg.wasm is our entire crate in WebAssembly. And then there's like a bunch of auto-generator wrapper, which imports the WebAssembly. And then I'm assuming all this wrapper stuff is to just get it to run in a JavaScript ecosystem. And then it also produces a package JSON for you, so you can publish this with NPM or use it from other Node or Webpack environments. And I guess it gave us an empty index as well, and a little pleasant little git ignore which says don't check this in because it's a build product. Yeah. So from the browser's point of view, it's WebAssembly. From my point of view, it's Rust, and there's a compilation in the middle. Last time we messed with you, you kind of gave up because the compile times were a bit undesirable. So Hurst, it depends on what you are used to, what you expect. I'm coming from a C++ background where I was kind of used to long compile times. So people have told me Rust is slow, and you don't think so, Raimu, because you're used to it being slow. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. So it might be slow for you if you're used to like a much faster turnaround. I think I'm already used to it being slow. The glue code is for passing values back and forth. To run them out, you just need 30 lines of that glue, probably. I had to write my own little bootstrapper, right? That has to import the package and then go through one of the wrappers it generates for me is one of the wrappers I make is this run app function wrapper. To do that, I use wasm bindgen, which is another little bit of magic. In the top of the crate at the bottom of the file, I have this run app. And with wasm bindgen, my understanding is it generates more glue code so that you can call this function from JavaScript as long and it'll make sure you do this, but all the parameters and any return value you might have to be wasm bindgen compatible. So that's how I'm able to get this a JS value basically could hold any value from JavaScript. So my environment object gets passed in like that, and then I use this little trick to basically serialize and then deserialize it into JSON and then deserialize it into this structure. And that works because we have the deserialized trait implemented for us. So a little bit of extra glue I had to make to bootstrap it. But other than that, essentially I have the development mode of I'm writing a Rust app and it happens to be running in the browser. The glue code and the Webpack and the WasmPack, Webpack and WasmPack make that all happen for me. Close. And where was I? Sorry, I got distracted again. I was down in this code right here, right? So I had added that, right? So this key loaded. All right. We don't know what crypto key is because we need to import it. Well, we probably don't know what RC is because we need to import that. All right, but now it should that should have worked. Convert from to message is not satisfied. Oh, I need the argument. Key. Or I guess I could just do away with... Oh no, I still need a closure, right? Callback needs a closure. I can't just give it... Can I? Maybe I can. Can I just give it the variant and it figures it out? Well, there you go. That worked. It just figures it out. Okay, so this is broken because we're not handling the message. So we'll just use our handy dandy control dot, fill match arms, and it'll add an empty one for admin key loaded. So here's where we would move the code that I commented out. So we don't want to connect directly. I think my work item, I said I just wanted to switch to playing activity when it's loaded. Next, we'll do the connections, right? So if we're just switching to the activity, I'll just do that here. We'll not need the crypto key, will we? Actually, we will. We need to store that because that's a prop to the playing. So key, or admin key, self.admin key equals admin key. And then self.current activity is playing. Okay, need to add the admin key. That's the type, actually. Admin key. This should be option, actually. I wonder if I could combine these two. I might do that later. So since we don't start with it, admin key starts out as none, and then I'll have to wrap it with into a sum when I assign it. Or I can just do replace. There we go. That works. You will keep lurking. Okay, great. Slow compiler just means more time for sword fights, or getting coffee, or going on a quick run, petting the cat, watching YouTube. There's lots of things you could do. That was always a joke at work, is that when the boss would come in and say, "Why aren't you working? Why are you goofing off?" You could say, "I am working. I'm waiting for the compiler." The glue code is really interesting. JS calls the malloc function, which is exported by WASM. Athens manipulates the memory at that address and finally calls the function with the pointer. Safe return values, but in reverse. That's what I would expect, is that it operates kind of like how other wrapper generators I've seen work, is that they're just doing marshalling of data and type checking at compile time. Hey there, mobile pad. How are you? Okay. By the way, I don't use this command enough, but if you have no idea what I'm doing, there's an intro. That link goes to this page. I am on this bullet point in my plan right now. And feel free to ask questions. I have other commands to answer common questions. I'm okay. Thanks for asking, Mobile Hat. Okay, so now when we load the key, instead of connecting, it should just switch to the playing, which I don't think I actually do anything. Yeah, so this is going to crash. We need to do something. How about we just, for now, have a placeholder? Hello, world. All right. Our properties need to exist, right? So let's shamelessly steal from one of our other components for a moment. Paste it here. We know that we'll need to have an admin key, and that is optional. Crypto key, right? That's all we know for sure. That's the type of the properties now. And we'll need to use uProperties to get that to work, and then I need to import some other types here. Like that. You found an XKCD thing for it? There you go. Just compiling. Yeah, sword fighting. Oh, we were referencing the same thing. I didn't realize that. There you go. So yeah, goofing off, sword fighting, same thing, right? Okay, so our props, we're just gonna take them. Props equals props. Actually, we're constructing, so it's just self props. We're not using our link yet. Why did that not work? Because of a comma? Oh, I don't have storage for it. This is just props. Okay, update. Haven't done it yet. Chain. Actually, we don't have any messages at all, so technically we can say it's unreachable. Change we do need to handle though. So change we'll do self.props equal props true. We're always going to re-render. Okay. HTML we need to import from you. And then let's just put something minimal here. Let message equal self.admin or props.admin key is some HTML. We have an admin key. Else HTML. We don't have an admin key. And just because I feel like it, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to look up the feels bad man emote. And where was the small or I should bookmark this. There was a is it Twitch quotes? Yeah. This might not be the right one, but I just want to get the I don't think this is the right one. Isn't there a Twitch? Actually, it's not a Twitch emote, right? It's BTTV. I just want to get a URL for it. Yeah, I want to get this link. Copy image link. And then put image source equal that. Semicolon, and then VR, and then message. If. Expected, what's invalid about my image? Oh, yeah, this needs to be put in quotes. And this needs to be a fragment. Yeah, actually, I kind of preferred putting those in the same line. There we go. All right, so back into here. When we call a playing activity, we need to provide the prop. So the prop is admin key, right? And that'll be self. Do I need the? I don't know if I need the braces here. Self props admin key. Maybe I do need the braces around it. No, did I mess that up? What's the problem? Oh, do I just have self admin key? And yeah, we don't want to move it out. Clone. There we go. Hey there, Mr. Halsey. How are you today? I'm gonna do it again, because Mr. Halsey's on my list. You should check out Mr. Halsey. He's another Rust streamer who streams regularly. And he's been working with Godot and Rust, making these games. You know, Catjam and Dogjam, why don't they work? Yeah, it's probably BTTV and I didn't enable it for my channel. Anyway, I was just playing around there. Let's see if it worked. If I did this correctly, reload. Actually, I have no way of getting to the no key load because it won't go to that activity unless I load a key, right? So I have to actually load a key for it to work. Now it says we have an admin key. So if I wanted to test not having a key, let's just hack it in there. I'll make the login thing just jump to it directly. That's what I'll do. Just a hack. As a hack. Where's that login button? That was sitting outside. Oh, wait. Yeah, I can't do it that way. It's always going to pass something unless I do a none here. Yeah, I guess we'll just hack it. So, did I need those braces? Let's see. No, I didn't need those braces. Okay, so then let me hack this. So it would be RC new none. Maybe then it needs to have braces. Oh no, wait a minute. I don't need an RC new. I just need to say none. And then I don't need braces, right? Because it just takes Rust code directly. Great. So now recompiling. Wait a minute. It compiled twice. All right, whatever. Admin, load something. Oh. That's a really big feels bad, man. He needs to be resized down, doesn't he? Do I have to do that with CSS? I guess I do. Width. What's the width? 30? That's not width then. What is it? Oh, I'm being raided by Code Rushed and a party of 5. Hello, Code Rush. Thank you for the raid. Casual 20x scaling. So it's not width. What is it? It is width. Why doesn't it like width 30? Oh, probably I have to say 30 pixels. There we go. If I wanted to put it on the same line, I'd probably have to do an inline image, right? I'd have to put it inside a paragraph or something. Oh, okay. One of my kids just said, "Where's the cockroach?" Because I heard you got raid. Only 0 doesn't need a unit. Anyway, this is all. I was just playing around there. What am I doing today? Raiders, welcome. I'm experimenting with using Rust in both the front end and the back end of my code. My code in general is I'm making this game called Omni Arena. It's meant to be like a MUD or a multiplayer RPG, mostly text-based. And I got into Rust last year around July, August timeframe, and I got really excited and really into it. So I started rewriting my game's engine in Rust, and then I decided that I would try to do it in the browser too, because I learned from another streamer, Chris Griffin, that you can use YEW, as one library for Rust, and along with some tools, you can use that to make a front-end web app using Rust and runs in the web browser. So that's what I've been doing. So this is what my game looks like in production, and although in production these buttons work, here they don't work because I'm rewriting it in Rust. Essentially what it is instead of writing my front-end app in JavaScript, I write it in Rust and use some tooling to compile the Rust into WebAssembly and load the WebAssembly into the web app at runtime. So if I show you the network, one of the things it fetches is the WebAssembly. Where is it? I think it's this one of these. This one right there is the WebAssembly. Oh, I got a phone call from the vet, so I got to take this call. I'll be right back. Oh, I am sorry about that. That's the vet again. So yeah, just more information. Okay, question. Yeah, that image should be 33 and some CSS must be expanding. It's probably the CSS I have for the app. I'm not too worried about it. It was just to play around. So I was explaining what I'm actually doing here. Yeah, the actual app that generates the HTML, it's all bundled into this WebAssembly .wasm, right? And I write it in Rust. It gets compiled into this WebAssembly, and then there's some glue code and some boilerplate code that I get generated using the tools that I run to fit it into the web browser. Hey there, Tim. How are you doing? Yeah, if you want to learn more about you and WebAssembly and all that, there's a good starting point. I know, Tim. And I'm blessed with you being a viewer. So thank you for being here. Of course, you guys all know Tim Bodette's another streamer here on Twitch, right? You should check his channel out. He does game development in C++. All right. So I was playing around with this. Let's put it back to what it was, which was to just pass the prop through, right? So let me make sure I didn't break it. This should go back to, it's recompiling. It's a two-stage compiling, right? Compile my Rust, then compile the package, the npm package, and then Webpack rehosts it, right? Or refreshes it, I guess I should say. So choose the file, load the key, it switches to, we have an admin key, right? So I guess I'm done with this work item, right? Switching to the playing activity when the admin key is loaded. Done. So let's check that in. Trying to follow my plan today, kind of like step by step to give some order and structure to things. So pass admin key to playing activity when loaded. That's all this stuff. Commit that, push it. So now we're getting into the more difficult ones. Moving the connection to servers as admin to the playing activity. So yeah, the code I had in the sitting outside activity to start connecting and all that, we're going to be moving it now. So I'm going to copy that and going to the playing activity. I suppose we're going to do that whenever the props get changed, right? So I think I want a common function I can call from either side here. Let's make an impl for it. Component, impl playing activity. A function called like on props, on new props or something. I don't know. Sure. Mutate self. And we'll say here, let this, because self is a reserved word, and then we'll do this, but in between here we'll do this dot on new props. Need to make this immutable. There we go, and then here when the props get changed we'll also call self dot on new props. Great. Now inside here I get to place this stuff, right? So if self dot add props dot admin key dot is sum, I guess we're gonna, no, we're not using it. We're just seeing if we have one. If we have one, then we're going to do this stuff, right? All right, so then I need to import info from log, and then I need to pull in this function. What are responsibilities of the different servers? You don't like this at A squared? I could use something else. I hate to be redundant, but I could say playing activity. Just seems like too verbose. So yeah, the different servers, there are only 2 of them. I have a notebook page for it in my notes, I think. The system architecture. So there are really only 2 kinds of servers. There's a singleton server called the orchestrator, and then there's a set of servers that are all the same code but just different instances called the realm server. Most of the work I do in the backend is in the realm server. This runs the game. The orchestrator is a small server that you'll see me run in the terminal to start the whole thing up. So at the very top of my terminal here, you'll see that I ran the orchestrator, right? Its job is pretty simple. It looks at the configuration file and says, well, how many servers do we need to run and what command line arguments do we need to pass to them? And then it monitors if any of them crash, it'll restart them. It also collects all the log messages together, which is why when you see in the log, you see like a candanol, which is I just picked a random name for the realm. 10 is server 10. 11 is server 11. It's basically collating all the log messages from the realm servers and putting them onto the console of the orchestrator. So just a convenience. That's all it really does. So the realm server, being the bulk of the backend, is started and managed by the orchestrator, but most of its interactions are with clients. So, and these are all WebSockets. Don't often get to catch a stream, but you try. He hooked me before he got all rusty. I hope you don't mind that I'm doing Rust now, Tim. I might not go back to C++. But hopefully that answers your question at the high level, LG. I can get into more detail about what's in the Realm server. When I get back to working on the back end, some of the stuff will make more sense. And some of the names have changed now. But essentially, it runs a web server which serves WebSockets, and those WebSockets are used to get messages into sort of like a dispatcher, which is routing messages between clients and also giving them to Raft and causing journal entries to be added to the game and telling the executor that things should happen. And at the core of the game, there's an executor component takes journal entries and applies them to the entity component system. And that all feeds back to the coordinator to send back to clients and other servers. So the game engine is essentially just a network of servers which all run copies of the game where the game data resides in an entity component system, which is changed by a kind of like a sequence of commands that are put into a journal that is replicated using the Raft consensus algorithm. So that's in a nutshell what the servers are. It would only ever show up in the logs admin panel, but that would be neat if Yurks could help name the servers. My hope was that when I scaled the game up, that there would be a realm for different subsets or areas in the game. So there might be a realm per game world, and that the name of the realm would be the same as the in-game name of the world that you're on. Or it could be that it might have a heterogeneous breakup. So like there might be a realm for like the overworld per se, but that for really populated cities or dungeons, there might be a realm dedicated for one particular dungeon, or maybe even a really popular town might have its own server, or might have multiple servers depending on what part of the town you're in. So the realm server is roughly like intended to be the subset of the world that requires a dedicated server instance on the infrastructure to run it. So right now it's just one, but as the game would scale, I would imagine it would grow and be driven by how popular certain areas of the game are. Kind of like in World of Warcraft, where they split their servers up into they both shard it and they also segment it. I guess they call them instances. They instance it not just like one per zone or one per dungeon, but it's also changes at runtime. The shape of it changes at runtime. If more people log into the same area, you'll get more servers spawned for it. Yeah. So I haven't gone. You could tell I haven't done any of that right now, but I leave this realm name and the concept of a realm not exactly matching the whole game to so that I can later scale it and have some way to divide the game world up into handled by different resources and different servers, and be able to dynamically split things up too. Although I haven't yet thought about how do we share common data, like your items, right? Do your items cease to exist when you leave the server and go to a different server, or are your items stored on a common database that all the servers share? I haven't figured that out yet. All right, anyway, this start connecting, I need to move this. And I'm kind of running out of time. I have a hard stop in an hour, so I kind of want to set up to give myself a little buffer. We'll go another half an hour and then I'll wrap things up. Okay, so start connecting. It's right here. Let's move that to playing. All right. So we need to add some messages that we had over here. WebSocket. Oh, we don't have a message class or a struct. Let's add a message struct. Let's just copy it. Verbatim. Right there. I will need parsed. I'll need response ready. Closed, opened. Actually, did I end up using those? I guess I did. Are those defined but not used? Oh yeah, look at that. Okay, we don't need them though. All right, so then this message type is this message type. What happened here? I think it's just confused, or I lost a bracket somewhere. Remember reading of the fun CCP had with the servers having to transfer data? Yeah, I'll have to figure that out at some point. Am I inside a function? I thought that... Oh, right. I'm inside of the imp. I never closed the impl. Or I could think of the other way around. I never closed the function. Oh. Yeah, I closed it in the wrong place. Yeah, exactly. Shouldn't be nested. Okay, I will need a link. So... link. Component link self. WebSocket status is imported from use services. Warn is imported from log. WebSocket service imported from use services again. Error is import. Well, that one it doesn't. It gets finicky about the context menu gets finicky because error is sort of ambiguous. Okay, so link. We have that there. We need to copy over the WebSocket itself, the state for that, the task, this thing, over to here, which means it needs to start out as none. And we also need to import some things. Import them. I don't have WS message yet. This is probably a problem because I don't... actually, I don't know why that's a problem. Maybe because it doesn't know what WS message is yet. WS message... Oh, is imported from the crate. Okay. So I could probably control dot that. Yep. All right, getting there. Okay, so the start connecting to server is compiling, and self is just missing that we don't start with the WebSocket. Message, we need to start handling messages. So match, let's call it message. I don't like abbreviating MSG. MSG makes me think of monosodium glutamate. What system are we currently working on? The front end, the logging into the server as an admin. So it's when you pick a key and then it just logs in, or if it's in local storage, like for me, I just click that and boom, I'm in. The system that actually takes the admin key and then says, okay, you have an admin key, so jump into the game and now start connecting to servers as admin. That's what I'm working on right now. So let's complete arms. All right. So I could fill some of these with the code we have from here, right? This, I can just copy this direct. This one, right? This is where the connecting to server would go. Actually, what am I doing here? I don't need it parsed. I don't need that. It's given to us in our props, right? Yeah, so I don't need to, that's not required. All right. Response ready, we want that. Wait, this is where we send our response when we get it. Let's copy the whole thing. Actually, well, yeah, I'll just copy once at a time. Actually, these are all in a row, so I'm gonna copy them both together. Closed and opened. And then WebSocket, that all goes together too, right? And then I had, I need to, at the end, say that we are, should render as false, right? Because this doesn't, we don't need to render anything yet. Okay, so then we need to import client message. Easier to write Mr. R compared to Raimu? Sounds good. I know what you mean. How are you doing today, Endorn? Got to be lots of fun when players wanted to shove 5K of themselves into one system. Oh, right. When you have a massive number of players coming together. Yeah, then they have to say, okay, activate the really big AWS instance and add it to our configuration. Now move everybody over to there. Listening to music, listening to me. I'm having trouble with my voice today. Maybe I've been talking too much. Or not drinking enough water, that could be it too. All right, server message, import that. Sign with key, that's a function from the utilities, right? And then admin key is in our props actually, now. Yeah, there we go. So, this should, whenever props are given, start connecting to the server. So this is just a naive way right now. I'll have to change this to later to, like I was saying before, the last work item, which I probably won't get to, is that we connect and maintain with all servers. Right now, just moving the code we had over, it's just going to assume we're connecting once to one hard-coded server name. The amount of duplicated code here, I'm not duplicating, I'm moving it, A-squared. I'm maybe removing it from the sitting outside activity. It's not going to, I don't want to cut it out of here in case I screw up. Yeah, it won't be here in a minute. It's being moved. I think that's all we need, right? Because we tell it to start connecting. That connects to the server. When it comes back, we should get an opened. An opened should generate admin ID message. Then that should come back from the server as an auth challenge, where we'll sign it. And then when we have the response ready, we'll send this response. So that should be all I need, right? So then I can go back to sitting outside and remove all that stuff. Actually, I'm going to remove it by just going to the states we don't need. So we don't need WebSocket, right? We don't need closed or opened. We don't need this whole function anymore, which means we don't need that impl block. This is the fun part where I get to delete code. Yay! We don't do that. These don't exist anymore. And that doesn't exist. And a lot of our uses go away. So auth response ready doesn't exist anymore, which means we don't need to handle it. So we don't need those. We don't need that or any of that. We don't need logging anymore. We don't need to sign with the key. We don't need the WebSocket, which means we don't need to initialize it, which means we don't need to import the task at all. And I think we've stripped it down to all of the sitting outside activity really does is it reads the key and parses it. And when it parses it, it passes it up that it loaded a key, right? And then that gets shunted over. Well, that switches the activity to the playing activity, which gets the key and proceeds to log in with it. So let's see if it works. Admin. Select key. Key. Open. There we go. We have an admin key and it connected and authenticated. Easy peasy. Successfully authenticated. Nice. We did it. Sprinkle some consistent hashing on top for juicy load balancing. Thought Eve Online predated it? I don't know. Oh, thank you, MetroDev. How are you doing today? We use a private key. The private key ensures that only the admin should be able to do this, right? Because the admin is the only one who should have the private key. And the private key is never sent. We send signatures only. The intent is that if I wanted you to be an admin of my game, I would either have you generate a private key or I would give you a private key. And then you would use that in the front-end client to sign the authentication challenges right here. The auth challenge is sent by the server. The challenge is a random string of bytes. You sign it with the private key and send back the response to the server, and the server uses the public key to verify the signature is correct. So only the holder of the private key can generate a valid authentication response. Yeah, we don't send... Well, we could send the public key if we trusted you, but we can't trust you by default, right? So what I have to do is I have to, with the key pair, I have to install the public key myself as sort of the DevOps part of the work, like when I install the server. And then I would then take the private key and hold on to it or give it to whoever I want to be the admin. Yeah, would never, ever, ever send private keys that provide access to restricted things. It's always best to either have the person you want to have access generate their key pair themselves and then give you the public key, or you have some secure way of giving them the private key. You have to be really careful that no one else spies on you and gets a copy. And also, when you store the private key, you want to make sure you never let anything get to it that is not trusted. So, like, you don't leave it lying around in your S3 bucket where everyone can get to it. You don't do that. You don't put it in the code because someone could reverse engineer your code and can just find the key and rip it out. Yeah, all these are things to avoid. Something to consider: an admin layer below your layer that can't add keys with the UI. Because, as I think anyone with admin access could add any public key. To add a public key, they'd have to have file system access on the server. So I don't allow that. I don't even have a way to do that in the game. You have to log into through SSH to the back end and upload the key. Yeah. Thought there was a UI way. I was thinking about adding that, but I would probably make it an admin command to do that. So you already have to be an admin to install a new public key. And I would use that. Let's say A Squared has been so helpful in the stream that I want A Squared to also be an admin in the game. I would log in as admin, and I would upload his public key. And now he can be an admin by using his private key. So before I do that, probably I would have different granularities of admin, like there'd be a access control list maybe that there's not just admin true or false. You get an ACL attached to a public key that lists what you're allowed to do, right? If there were a UI way, there'd need to be more granularity, yeah, because otherwise someone could just hijack it, right? Like, at least you want to allow only a previously trusted and established admin to be able to upload new keys. Yep. You shouldn't, I think the general rule in security is you should not be able to grant more privilege than you already have yourself. And in a really restricted environment, you wouldn't even be able to, so to speak, clone your own privileges. You could maybe only grant a limited subset of what you already have, right? Anyone can add keys. Yeah, exactly. You dilute the trustworthiness by allowing people to clone their privilege to a larger set. Then, like, I give uh, John. I'm inventing someone. I give John admin access, and they say, "Oh, I'm going to add all my friends," and then they add their friends, and then at some point, I'm like, "How does everyone have the private key now? how are so many public keys installed on my server?" Only way to grant is, grant less. Yeah, yeah. It's all a separate subject about how to handle security in general, right? I think we're done with this work item. I don't think I have enough time to implement the second half. I do have enough time to eat lunch, though. So let's just check this in. I move. I don't know how to make it short, so let's make it long here. Move code which logs into the server as admin from the sitting outside. Well, activity to the playing activity, and have the login start as soon as the admin key is provided. That's essentially what I did. What happened to the... Oh, it won't let me commit without summary. Right. So move admin login code. Great. Okay, I don't need to end now. Actually, I have a little bit of time. So I could either just hang out or I can do some refactoring. Probably a good... Refactoring would be a good idea, right? Always spend a little bit of time refactoring. Omnia Rustna. That's right, Mr. Balrog. How are you today? Such a good Git. I know. Who recommended that I try this? Do I have a command for it? I don't. I don't remember my own commands. Yeah. Did I ever add a command for that? Endurn? I know. Sometimes best mod says Endurn, sometimes Enpere, sometimes who knows, you know? Yeah, I forget what the command was. I thought I did add one, I just don't remember what it was. An old console app is now an Azure function app? That's cool. So for me, refactoring is mostly like just cleaning up junk that I put in while I was coding and I was just lazy about it. There we go. That's the problem. Now it's sorted. Message props, then the activity. Okay, and I can button that up. Create does that. Actually, now that I think about it, I wonder why they gave us the props in both create and in change. Because it would be cleaner to just have create not take the props and just always call change after create. That would be a cleaner API here. I'm working around it by having a common function called onNewProps. I suppose I'll just continue with that pattern. Update. I think this would be a good opportunity to push that off into another function, right? So like kind of like handle server message or something. Function handle server message. Mute self message server message. Match message. All right, and then we're going to call that from here. It's going to be sweet. All right. Self.handle server message from bytes message unwrap. It might be a good opportunity to get rid of this on unwrap also. I think what I want to do is if we receive a message from the server we don't understand, we can just drop it and log a console error. So let's do that. I don't know really how to test it, though, without hacking the server. Because I don't think it's possible right now for the server to send a message we can't decipher. Oh, I know how to do it. I would add a type of message and compile the back end, but run an old version of the front end. Because then we'll get an error that the variant is unknown, right? All right, so then we're going to take this part of it out. Let message equal that, and then this just becomes message. And now I can handle the unwrap. I can say if let OK message equal that without the unwrap, then handle it. Otherwise, let's do a warn, I guess. Unable to parse server message. I'm not going to put the raw bytes in there. I think I'm just going to put the error. Oh, which means I need to turn this into a match. Match this. OK turns into that, comma, error turns into this. What am I missing? Match, okay, oh, missing one of these. There we go. I'm getting really dependent on Rust formatter. I just don't care about formatting. I let the tool do it now. How did the vet visit go? Not surprisingly. My cat, who I sometimes call the beast, he's getting old. So he's getting old cat problems. And he's not going to live forever. I got that confirmation today. But we have a plan to keep him comfortable and happy for however long he can keep going. He was just having issues doing it himself. Now he needs chemical help. You know? Formatters are the best thing ever. I can't live without them anymore. I know. They're also... This is another thing I like about Rust, that the community kind of guides you towards using it, because not that they're forcing conformity, but they're sort of encouraging discipline in that you have the tools, just like you would do with linter, you would have the tools just check that you're being consistent. So you, like I did, I picked what rules I want to follow for formatting, like I want spaces, not tabs, I want 4-character indentation, etc., etc. And I just told those rules to the formatter tool, and I said, hey, formatter tool, you just make sure that I format consistently. And I've seen open source projects now that will either in their automation or when they code review, they'll say, please run the formatter, right? Or the CI will just do it for you. And it's pretty cool. All right. And I guess you have the same thing in JavaScript with Prettier, especially if you integrate it so that when you hit save, it runs Prettier. It's pretty much the same thing, only with Rust, I feel it's more built into the language, not the language, but the ecosystem that's heavily coupled with the language, right? Because unless you use Rust C directly... Oh, Rust C has a formatting check too? I was going to say, unless you go straight to the compiler only, you usually go through things like cargo and rust up, where you, in addition to the compiler, you also get the formatter, right? Okay, I think that's all I need to do there. I can test it later by making a new kind of message, have the server send it. We should verify that it shows up in our console. Maybe I'll put a to do test this by adding a new command, not command, message variant on the server side and sending it to an older version of the client. Actually, I expect this to happen even in production. If people are running an old client and the server generates some kind of new message, I would expect us to end up here. And maybe in addition to doing a console warning, we would also this would trigger something like a check to see if there's a new version of the client available, and maybe would prompt the player saying, hey, the game is now running a newer version than this client supports. Would you like to upgrade now? And if you don't upgrade, I guess I would assume that any message we receive that we can't understand is a new kind of message. If I do the backwards compatibility right, we would just warn about it, but that you could probably still play the game, I guess. A server update message that actively pushes the client. I guess that would be even more strict. Like maybe when you log in, you have to say what version you are, and the server would refuse to talk to you unless you're a new version, and then that would be a push. And if you're already connected and the server gets updated, the server would go to all clients, because it would then know what version they're all running and say to all the old ones saying, you have to update. Update now. With all the memory safety checked in Rust, do you also got yourself thinking, what the heck are we doing with all these years? I guess you could, that's one way of looking at it. Another way that I kind of prefer is that there's always been memory safety checks, but we're handling the responsibility over more to the tools that we use, right? In the past, a memory safety check would be you would write the code to check if a pointer was null or if a malloc succeeded, etc., right? It was the responsibility of the programmer more times than it is with Rust. With Rust, you're kind of handing a bunch of that responsibility to the tools to kind of do for you, which is like the whole progression of automating and advancing in technology, is that we're handing off things that are error prone for us to do to machines that are less likely to make the same mistakes, so that we can concentrate on the more interesting things. Now, if you like to do manual error checking, you can always go in safe in Rust or not use Rust and just do it yourself. More power to you. So I don't think it's like something we haven't done in the past. It's just something that we've done in a different way. We've done it ourselves as programmers, and now we're having the tools do it. Yeah, but there's a cost to that, right? The language is harder to learn. It's more intimidating to people. There's more work you have to do while trying to get it to compile. On the flip side, once you get it to compile, it's probably going to have a better likelihood of running correctly. It's, in the grand scheme of things, I see it as a big trade-off and a big migration of responsibility. We're migrating the responsibility to the tools. The trade-off is more work for us to learn the language and to get it to compile, but it's safer once it compiles and is more likely to run. So trade-offs are always like a A versus B study that you do when you're going to pick your tools. Like, do I want to pick a language that's harder to learn, but maybe it's safer once I get my program to compile? Or would I rather use something that I have to do more checks myself, but it's faster development cycle, the tools are maybe faster, and maybe quicker to market, right? There could be different factors that you use to decide things. A little bit more refactoring, then I got to quit. This is where I'm going to start tomorrow. If I stream tomorrow, I'm not sure if I'm streaming tomorrow or if it will be Friday. I added the to-do thing because I want to test this later. I think we're good here. Let's go to sitting outside. Is there anything that I missed here? Sitting outside still is responsible for getting the key in the first place, which is fine. It's in the view itself, so it's fine. Admin mode, yeah, that's okay. Actually, I'd rather change the name of that. That should be like admin or show admin key input. That's what it really should be, right? And alphabetically sort it. Right, so now it makes more sense. If self-props show admin key input, then show it, right? Otherwise, don't. And that's going to break this level because I changed the name and the refactoring tool is not smart enough to see that. I just need to put that here. And we'll probably want to rename it in this file too. Actually, why is it at this level? Oh, it's at this level because it's the top level app that knows to show it or not. Right. So that goes to there. Oh. Is this old code? Admin key loaded. Why is there an admin key? Oh, this isn't just a show. Okay, I'm confused then. I renamed the wrong thing. Yeah, I renamed the wrong thing. I went too quickly. Replaced the wrong thing. That makes more sense now. Okay, that's what, a prop? Oh, no, that's just another variable. Oops. My clipboard got hosed. Back to the last edit. There we go. I want that. Dismiss. Oops. Yeah, here. That. There. Oh, thank you for that follow. I appreciate it. Okay, this got broken because it didn't know to rename it there. Okay, cool. So this is just a flag saying whether or not we should show that, and it's determined by if the origin or the window location search. I don't know why it's called search, but it's the query string, right? If it started with admin, then we're going to clear it from our window, but we're remembering it so that we can tell it to the sitting outside activity. Sitting outside activity uses it to know whether or not to render the input at all. And the key comes back through this message, key selected. Oh, key selected is handled locally, sorry. Key selected, right, reads it in, and will, first has to get loaded, then once it's loaded, we have to parse it, and if it's parsed, then we send it back up through a, what do they call it in React? I guess it's just a prop. We're sending it back up through the prop to the main, which links it to this admin key loaded, which we have to hold on to the key because that becomes a prop that we pass when we're in the playing activity. So when we're in the playing activity, we give them a clone of the key. I can't just give it to them because if we re-render, we have to give them another key, so we have to hold on to the original. That's maybe one of the shortcomings here of how I'm using Vue, is that Vue always has to reconstruct another whole copy of the virtual DOM, including any kind of objects that we need to pass down as props. So that means we're always cloning them. There's some yellow squigglies. That's because I'm searching, but there's some other ones here, right? Yeah. I do want to have that activity later. I just don't have it yet. I don't need connect and disconnect anymore, though. I can delete those. All right, and yeah, so this is dead code. We can delete this dead code finally. Yeah, I like deleting dead code, don't you? Get rid of, actually, whoops, I hit new file. Closed is still used somewhere. Not used. Yep, all that's old. So yeah, we don't need the WebSocket service. We don't need WebSocket status. We don't need the WebSocket message. We don't need error anymore. Why do we need WebSocket task? Oh, because we still have that. So that should come back out here, right? So there's no closed. There's no opened or message. So then it's going to say that we don't need the WebSocket at all, right? Yeah, don't need the WebSocket, so that we don't need to import WebSocket task. Deleting code can sometimes be a lot more fun than writing it, actually. And we don't need a WebSocket. Yay. And there's some commented out code I probably don't need anymore, right? I don't think I need this anymore because I'm proficient enough in self-link and I have enough other examples. I'm just going to drop that. Okay. I want to keep these around because I think I'm still going to need them later. E and V has things like the OAuth stuff that we'll have to do. So we need to hold on to it, at least for now. Removing WebSockets from the top level of the app, Mr. Balrog. I moved it to the playing activity. It just got moved. Here it is. Always nervous when deleting dead code. That's why I do what like a rock climber might do. The principle in rock climbing is you always have like 3 hold points, right? So that you can let go of one and reacquire a higher hold point while still holding on to the other 2. So that theoretically, like if you were to slip, hopefully only one of your 3 points would unexpectedly lose and you'd have another backup, which maybe one of your hold points would be a an actual rope. But yeah, same thing. I will, that's why before it looked like I was copying code. I was really moving it, but I move it by making a copy and then deleting the original after I get the copy to work. The alternative some people do is they just comment it out, or you could delete it, but then if you screw up, then you go back in your version control and get it back again. They're all the same principle, right? We're being careful when we move or clean up. All right. Thank you for that follow. I appreciate it. Logging in still is yet to be done. Playing. Anything I can clean up here? Or did I already look at this? I feel like I've already done it. Oh, I don't need this junk anymore. Yeah, I'll just drop that. That was just to be funny. But this all is just placeholder anyway, right? So just keep it simple. Actually, I don't even really need that anymore. I'll delete that and then it'll be apparent that we actually don't even need the admin key yet because we're not... Let's remove that. Yeah, this all gets really, really drilled down to just printing something silly. And then, oh yeah, we're still using the admin key because we used it to get the WebSocket. Yeah, all right. And I'm just right now depending on seeing these console messages for it. Hardcore safety regulations require 3 contact points of the ladder at a time. Yeah, it's the same thing. You would copy code, comment the old stuff, run and check, commit, then delete and commit. That's even more conservative than I am. I just delete and then commit, which I guess it runs the risk that I messed up in the copy and I lost something. But then again, I did commit before I started the refactor, so I guess I kind of can get back to where I was. So I'm going to call this all refactoring. I don't think I really need to actually like drop dead code. Handle server message. Oh, did I forget to check in before I refactored? Oh, I thought I did check in. I didn't though. Oh, no, I did. What happened? No, why is this here? Oh, I did refactor. Yeah. So this was extract method playing activity handle server message. Right. That's a method extraction to remove the to reduce the pyramid of doom. I suppose I could have moved the entire match in and done the error check in here too. Or I could have another function to do that. Okay, so remove the code that I had playing around with loading feels bad man. All right. Rename admin mode to show admin key input. That's probably it, right? Well, that goes under drop dead code. Is drop dead code. Punctuation matters. Drop dead code. Drop dead code. I think I'm done. That's more drop dead code. Yep. Yep. Okay. We're done. I have to go get something to eat and then take off, alright? I hope you guys enjoyed the stream today. If you stick around, I will rate someone who I hope will be interesting to you. See who's streaming. There are actually a lot of people streaming right now that I know, that I follow. How about we raid JMC Morris, who used to be Siege Games, I think. He is working on a game that is Terraria meets Factorio. Yeah, see you, 715209. Thanks for hanging out. So yeah, Jason Morrison. Jason Morris is he's actually the developer behind. Oh, I forget the name of his game. It's probably on his About thing though. Oh, Kriya. Yeah, he's a developer of Kriya. I don't know if you've heard of the game, but he's a partnered Twitch streamer now, and he's making a game where Terraria meets Factorio. We're gonna rate him. Yeah, thanks for being here, LG, and thanks to everyone else too. Let me go hit that raid button. JMC Morris. All right. Hopefully I will be back tomorrow, but we'll see. Might have stuff come up. Maybe not. I will see you next time. Hope you enjoyed, and have a great one. Bye.